One second. So my presentation is on behavior support intervention strategies for individuals with disabilities in social science courses. So the impacts of student behavior. We know through COVID that there's more inappropriate student behaviors than ever since the COVID time period. And we know that student behavior impacts the learning of the student and their peers around them. And in addition, we know that beginning teachers often leave the profession due to classroom management and student behavior issues. And furthermore, parents are often seeking advice for how to deal with inappropriate behaviors of their children with disabilities as well. So evidence-based practices, interventions, and supports are important. And so we use them to empower social science teachers, staff, and administrators in classrooms and school settings, with the goals being to increase behaviors for individuals with disabilities, and then also to maintain positive, appropriate behaviors and to keep students in the classroom and prevent out-of-school suspensions. The featured programs that we're going to focus on are the Positive Behavior Intervention and Support, PBIS, Social and Emotional Learning, SEL, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, CASEL framework, Restorative Practices, SEL Alignment, and Multi-Systemic Therapy, MST. So these are the featured programs that were used in the school district that we did the research. So the first one, positive behavior interventions and supports, I'll just give you a real brief overview of each of them, give you an idea of what was used in the school district. PBIS creates a positive learning environment through defining, teaching, and reinforcing appropriate behaviors. It's a system that must be implemented school-wide, so you can't use it just in one classroom. It's a school-wide approach. It's used with all students, so it's not just for students with disabilities, but it's used with all K-12 students in that school. And it's a tiered system. So you'll see in the graphic that it's the triangle. We want everybody to be in the green level, to be in the universal level. So if somebody is in the red level, that's the top 3 to 5% of the students that have the most needs. We're trying to get them the supports that they need to get them back down to the green level. Students can go between tiers. So just because they're in one tier, they're not going to stay there, and they can go between the tiers depending on what their needs are. Depending on how intense their needs are, depends on what types of supports and interventions they receive and how intense those supports and interventions are. Social and emotional learning. SEL assists individuals with obtaining knowledge, skills, and attitude for living a mentally healthy lifestyle. So it focuses on self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, items like that, with the goal of being a mentally healthy lifestyle. The Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, CASEL framework, is similar, you'll see, to the social and emotional learning, similar to that wheel, with the self-awareness, the self-management, the social awareness, the relationship skills, and the responsible decision-making. But it has an outward component of also looking at the classrooms, the schools, the family caregivers, and the communities. So it looks beyond just the school and the classroom into what other environments are affecting those students. Restorative practices foster accountability and self-discipline while building trust and positive relationships. The restorative practices is the most complex one to actually implement. It takes a lot of training. It has to be implemented with high fidelity, and it needs to be followed step by step. So while a lot of schools in this particular district got training in it, there's only a few schools that actually do it the way that they're supposed to do it because it's a very complex process. So it's a highly effective, excellent program, but it's just hard to implement. Once implemented, it's very effective. And then finally, the multi-systemic therapy. MST takes into account the family, peers, school, and community to address the root causes of delinquent and antisocial behavior for long-lasting change. So the child is in the center of it, but it looks at all the outer bubbles that the child interacts with. Their siblings or caregivers, extended family, peers, neighborhood, school, provider agency, community. So this social ecological model really looks at the whole perspective of everybody that that child interacts with. So wraparound services are really important for this model. So services that look at more than just what's happening at the school, but schools that interact with programs that work with nurses, that work with dentists, that work with social workers, that work with the parents, that work with after school programs. So programs that work with agencies that are going to help with all those aspects of that student's environment. With each of those programs, it's important to have systematic program implementation. So in this pre-K through 12th grade large school district in the southeastern United States, they had systematic program implementation with validity and high fidelity. It utilized a collaborative and coordinated team approach consisting of a behavior liaison, behavior support teachers, behavior support assistants, special education teachers, general education teachers, students, and other resources. This is at the beginnings of the study. The programs have been implemented for over a year. The data has been collected for over a year. It's a long-term study, so we're looking for more data collection at this point. We're tracking the data as it's coming in, and we're seeing improvements in disciplinary referrals, teacher satisfaction, and annual test scores. But we want to still get a couple more years of data before we do our final analysis. And I'm ready for questions.